The Silent Watch, the research station, floated quietly at the edge of known space. Commander David Chen stood before the observation window, watching distant stars flicker in the endless dark. His team of 12 scientists and engineers had been stationed here for 6 months, monitoring energy patterns from a nearby nebula. It was supposed to be routine work. Nothing ever happened this far from civilized space. The station's main computer beeped softly. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the team's lead physicist, looked up from her console with confusion in her eyes. She had been tracking energy readings for weeks, but something had changed. The patterns were different now, more organized, almost deliberate. Commander Chin walked over to her station. He could see the worry on her face. Sarah had worked in space for 15 years and rarely showed emotion. Whatever she found must be important. The energy signature was growing stronger by the hour. It wasn't natural. Something massive was moving through the nebula, heading directly toward their position. The computers calculated its size and speed. When the numbers appeared on screen, Sarah gasped. The object was larger than anything humanity had ever built. It was bigger than Earth's largest space stations combined. They sent an urgent message back to Earth Command, but the response would take days to arrive. They were alone out here, watching something unknown approach their tiny station. The crew gathered in the main observation deck, staring at the screens showing the nebula's swirling clouds. Lieutenant Marcus Webb, the station security officer, checked the defensive systems. The station had shields and a few basic weapons meant for deflecting asteroids and space debris. Against something this massive, they would be useless. But Marcus was a soldier, and soldiers always prepared for the worst. The object emerged from the nebula 3 hours later. It was a ship, but unlike anything in human records. The vessel was triangular with smooth black surfaces that seemed to absorb light itself. Strange symbols glowed along its hull in colors that hurt to look at directly. The ship was silent, producing no engine signatures that their sensors could detect. Commander Chin ordered the crew to battle stations, though he knew it was pointless. If this ship wanted to destroy them, nothing could stop it. He opened all communication channels, broadcasting greetings in every language humanity knew, including the few alien languages they had encountered over the years. There was no response. The massive ship simply stopped a few kilometers from the station, hanging in space like a predator watching its prey. Hours passed. Intense silence. The crew took turns monitoring the ship, looking for any sign of activity or intent. Then the ship's surface began to change. Section of the hull opened, revealing a bright interior. Something emerged, a smaller craft, sleek and fast. It approached the research station, slowly, deliberately. Commander Chin realized they were about to make first contact with a completely unknown species. The smaller craft docked with their airlock. The station sensors detected movement inside the connecting tunnel. Chin gathered his senior staff near the inner airlock door. His hand hovered over the door controls. Whatever came through that door would change humanity's future forever. The door opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. 4 figures stepped into the station. They were tall, nearly 3 m high, with elongated bodies covered in dark armor that seemed alive, shifting and flowing across their forms. Their faces were hidden behind smooth helmets. But Chen could feel them watching, studying, judging. The lead figure raised one hand in what might have been a peaceful gesture, a device on its wrist activated, projecting images into the air between them. The images showed a map of the galaxy with thousands of markers indicating civilizations. Some markers were red, others blue or green. Earth's location appeared on the map, glowing yellow and unmarked. More images followed. They showed war, destruction, entire worlds burning. Then they showed the massive triangular ships, hundreds of them fighting against something else, the enemy. In these images was horrifying, creatures that seemed made of pure chaos and darkness. The aliens were showing them a warning, a threat was coming, something that destroyed civilizations across the galaxy. The triangular ships belonged to a coalition of species fighting this threat. They called themselves the Guardians, and they had been watching humanity for decades. The lead guardian touched another control on its wrist. New images appeared, showing human history from an outside perspective. They had watched humanity's first steps into space, watched them build their stations and ships, watched them explore and dream of the stars. The Guardians had been deciding whether humanity was ready to join the greater galactic community. The threat they fought was called the Devourers, and they were coming to this region of space soon. Guardians needed allies, warriors who could think creatively and fight with determination. They had seen these qualities in humanity's history and wanted to offer a choice: join the Guardians and help defend the galaxy, or remain isolated and face the Devourers alone. When they arrived, the choice seemed obvious, but Commander Chin understood the weight of it. This decision would affect every human alive and every human yet to be born. The Guardian leader waited patiently for a response. Shen looked at his crew, seeing fear and excitement mixed on their faces. They were scientists and engineers, not politicians or military leaders, but they were also the first humans to face this moment, and history would remember whatever they said next. Earth's decision. The message from the research station reached Earth 3 days later. Government leaders and military commanders gathered in emergency sessions across every major nation. The video footage of the Guardians and their warnings spread through secure channels, reaching the desks of presidents, generals, and intelligence directors. Admiral Catherine Ross stood in the war room of Earth Defense Command, watching the recording for the 10th time. She had spent 40 years in military service, rising through the ranks during humanity's expansion into space. She had fought pirates, stopped rebellions, and protected colonies from natural disasters. But nothing had prepared her for this. The Guardians had left one of their smaller ships at the research station as a gesture of trust. Human engineers were already studying it, trying to understand technology that seemed centuries ahead of Earth's best designs. The ship's power source alone could revolutionize human civilization. Its weapons could vaporize a mountain. Its engines could cross the galaxy. Weeks instead of decades, but the price for this knowledge was steep. The Guardians wanted humanity to commit forces to their war. They needed ships, soldiers, and resources. In return, they offered protection, technology, and a place in the galactic community. It was a bargain that could save humanity or destroy it. Politicians argued about sovereignty and independence. Religious leaders questioned whether Humans should involve themselves in an alien war. Scientists pleaded for access to Guardian technology. The public, learning about the situation through carefully controlled news releases, was divided between fear and excitement. Admiral Ross understood the military reality. Earth's fleet consisted of 300 warships, ranging from small patrol vessels to massive carriers that could transport thousands of troops against the Devourers shown in the Guardian recordings. These ships would last minutes at best. Humanity needed help, and the Guardians were offering it. She presented her analysis to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The room fell silent as she showed tactical simulations. Every scenario where humanity fought alone ended in defeat. Every scenario where they joined the Guardians showed at least a chance of survival. The mathematics were clear, even if the politics were not. President Elena Martinez made the final decision. She was a former astronaut who had walked on Mars and commanded missions to Jupiter's moons. She understood space, understood risk, and understood that sometimes survival meant accepting help from strangers. She authorized Earth's entry into the Guardian Coalition. The announcement was broadcast worldwide. Humanity would join an alliance of alien civilizations to fight against a threat that consumed worlds. Volunteers were needed, both military and civilian. Engineers to study alien technology, soldiers to crew new ships, scientists to develop new weapons and defenses. Response surprised everyone. Millions volunteered within the first week. Young people saw adventure and purpose. Veterans saw a cause worth fighting for. Scientists saw the greatest research opportunity in human history. The spirit that had driven humanity to explore Earth's oceans and climb its mountains now pushed them toward the stars. Training began immediately. Guardian instructors arrived at military bases around the world, teaching human soldiers how to fight in zero gravity, how to use energy weapons, and how to think in 3 dimensions during space combat. The learning curve was steep, but humans adapted quickly. Earth's shipyards went into full production mode. New warships were designed, combining human engineering with Guardian technology. The hybrid vessels were faster and stronger than anything humanity had built before. They were also beautiful, sleek forms that spoke of both human creativity and alien precision. Commander Chen and his research station crew became celebrities. They had made first contact and handled it perfectly. Chen was promoted to captain and given command of one of the new hybrid warships. Dr. Mitchell became humanity's chief liaison to the Guardian Science Division. Lieutenant Webb trained the first generation of human space marines. 6 months after first contact, Earth's contribution to the Guardian fleet was ready. 50 new warships, each crewed by the best and brightest humanity could offer. They would join Guardian forces at a staging area near the galactic core, preparing for the Devourers' arrival. The departure ceremony was broadcast live. Families said goodbye to loved ones who might never return. Politicians gave speeches about duty and sacrifice. Admiral Ross stood on the bridge of Earth's flagship, a massive carrier named Defiance, and felt pride mixed with fear as the fleet prepared to jump to faster than light speed. Ross thought about humanity's long journey from caves to starships. Every generation had faced impossible challenges and overcome them through courage and innovation. This generation's challenge happened too. Be on a galactic scale, but the spirit remained the same. The Guardian commander, who had introduced himself as, appeared on the view screen. His translator device rendered his words in perfect English. He welcomed humanity to the coalition and promised that their courage would be remembered across the galaxy. Then he gave the order to jump. Space twisted around the fleet, stars stretched into lines of light. The ships crossed distances that would have taken decades in seconds. When they emerged, they were surrounded by thousands of alien vessels representing dozens of species, all united against a common enemy. Earth's fleet had arrived, and the galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. The real war was about to begin, and humans were ready to show what they could do.